Hello, one and all. Welcome back, everyone, to another wonderfully fun video from me, Landon, aka Landon-Core of Landon-Core, this YouTube channel you're currently watching. As you no doubt can tell, this is going to be a bit different. I'm not really scripting this one. I'm kind of just having fun with it. I have a couple points I want to hit, but not really going to do anything too crazy. It's a lovely pal day and morning, and obviously with the holidays, I can't do anything too adventurous or in-depth with any video making, so I have to do something a bit simpler, and I figured what would be more simpler yet fun than to gush over my all-time favorite Pokemon, my all-time favorite game series, which is Pokemon. This is Pokemon Scarlet. With the Indigo Disk finally out, I've been playing it diligently. I've beaten the main story. I haven't done all the extras like the special coaches in the league room, or I haven't hunted a single legendary yet, not even the new Paradox ones. So, but while I have fun doing that with my time off, I figured I'd give you guys some fun and I'd just gush about all the Pokemon that I've used over the course of Scarlet and Violet's lifespan. You know, it's unlikely we're going to get more content for these games in any major way. So I have several teams that I've used over the course of these games and all the DLCs, and I figured I'd just spend some time gushing about all the fun I had. This is one of my more favorite places to set up, Grasswither Shrine. I loved the shrines in this game. I love the environments in this game. There's so much I love about these games. I know that's something of a controversial statement, but it's the holidays. It's time to enjoy yourselves, to have fun, to remember the good times. So why don't I show everyone the gang, introduce you. So I got Pokemon Violet at launch. This I normally don't buy both games, but I did, and I still don't. I've never bought them both at launch. So I got Violet at launch entirely because I prefer Miraidon. Some people may call that controversial. Don't know if that is or not, but to me, Future Laser Jet Bike. If you saw my Daily Wire Yu-Gi-Oh video, you know I love Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds. Future jet bikes are they're just cool. So let me show off the team. First off, you'll see a lot of this guy. This is Skeleturge. I have a bit of a tradition, shall we say, when I play through a Pokemon game. Kind of rules, kind of a tradition, but every time I play a Pokemon game for the first time, I always do a few things, and one of them is I always pick the Fire-type starter. Skeleturge, he started as a Fuecoco. I got him from Director Travel. I love this guy. He is the only Pokemon I brought with me, with the exception of the Skeleturge I used in Scarlet. You'll see him soon. Skeleturge is the only Pokemon I brought with me to both Kitakami and the Blueberry Academy. He's so great. Torch Song is awesome, giving him such great sweep potential. And he's cute. He's adorable. He's got a freaking Firebird on his nose. Like, how do you not love Skeleturge? Next up on the team, Arbolivia. I don't know how to say anything in this game. So when I follow Pokemon traders, like trailers religiously. Like, I'm constantly there to see every single new release as quickly as I can, within reason. It's my favorite game series. So when I saw little old Smoliv, I said to myself, that thing's cute. Probably not going to use it though, because I'll fully admit I have this kind of hipster complex with Pokemon sometimes, where I don't want to use Pokemon I think are too popular, which is a total arbitrary statement, but I mean, Smoliv was so cute that he broke my will. I had to use him. I had to, and my Arbolivia is awesome. He turned into this great powerhouse on the team, and just for no other reason than he got Stab Hyper Beam. It's a playthrough. I don't need anything. I don't need to really worry about complex battle mechanics. You're probably never using Hyper Beam, but Stab Hyper Beam on a special attack, when are you gonna get to do that? You don't get to do that often in Pokemon, so it was awesome to use Arbor Olivia. The next point, Bellybolt, the rotund boy. I loved him. As another one that I picked pre the games coming out. I saw him in the trailers, and I'm like, because they did the whole trailer with Iono, where you're supposed to like, what is this thing? Where are its eyes? And I mean, I fell in love with him. He's also super cute. I wanted to use them. The other tradition I said when I started this out with Skeleturges, I always use exclusively new Pokemon or old Pokemon with new forms. So like when I played X and Y back in the day, I used Omega Blastoise. When I played Sun and Moon, I used a Alolan Ninetales. So like with that rule, this time I didn't actually use anything with new forms. I used exclusively new Pokemon with Violet, and Bellybolt was great. He kind of didn't get to do as much as I'd like him to, because he's just an electric type. That said, he does get Mud Shot, which made the mirror match against Iono fun. That was kind of fun for me. He's a cute little dude. He's cute. I would hug a Bellybolt. I love him. He's so adorable. Then, I was struggling to figure out, as you can see the other guys on the team. I'll go through them one by one. I was struggling to figure out what one of my last Pokemon would be. I really couldn't make up my mind. I was looking through the decks relatively soon after launch, trying to figure out who in this game do I want to use, who's worth it, and I saw Palafin, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I generally kind of like all my Pokemon to be land-based, because it breaks my own immersion when they're floating around like that. But then I saw the hero form, and I had to try it out. And then people were saying it had a weird evolution mechanic. I love it when games do that. I used Aruna Regis back in Sword and Shield because it had one of the weirder evolution mechanics. I love when Nintendo gets weird with stuff in Game Freak. When they're like, hey, why don't we just do something stupid and weird? Why? Because why not? That's the real question. And so the idea of having to join a Union Circle and then he barely changed when he evolved just to get the Zero to Hero form. I wish I could easily get into a battle to show off Hero form. Actually, I can probably just pull up the Pokedex. Right? Not in a picnic. No, I can't look at your Pokedex during a picnic. That's stupid, but whatever. And I actually probably made the game harder for myself because I wanted to use Hero form. It's a playthrough team. It's easy. Every Pokemon game is easy. I don't know why anyone complains about difficulty in this game. It's all easy. So I wanted to use something. So I actually made it harder just so I forced myself to get hit by moves I didn't have to, just so I could switch out and switch in to get Palafin Hero form. Then, again, the other Watch Trilogy, there's a lot of mystery around this little dude when he was coming out, when the games were coming out. The people were pointed out on the Starmobile video trailers that they thought that the cars were alive. And it's like, how on earth would that be possible? What is that? Maybe it just looks weird. Like, it's not a Pokemon, is it? Then it turned out to be a Pokemon. When I realized that, knew I was going to use one. Also, I love Steel types. It's one of my favorite types. I almost always... There are two types. Outside of the fact that I always use the Fire type, the other two types I almost always try to have on my team is I try to go for a Steel and I try to go for a Psychic type. Those are my two favorite non-starter types. And Reverum, he fit the bill. And he was really great. Like, another Pokemon I feel like I probably didn't get to use enough. Just because he was fun to use, so he was kind of difficult to use at times. He was almost too powerful. And also, like, I try not to like sweep with one Pokemon even when I'm going to sweep. But he got with Steel and Poison, and he can get several other types of moves. It just kind of felt He had a lot of coverage, so I could sweep with him a lot. So that was fun. And he's just kind of look at his silly little tongue. Look at his silly little tongue. Do a little dance, buddy. Do a little dance. I mean, look at that. Look at that freaking guy. I love that. I feel like they've been teasing a car or engine Pokemon for ages now. Like, I've seen old videos and interviews and things where Pokemon creators talking about, like, oh, you know, we thought about doing a car. We'd have to ask, like, what does the car eat and stuff. And that was fun. Next up, the final member of my regular playthrough team, Excalibur. I normally don't go for pseudo-legendaries. I mentioned my hipster complex a little bit before. But gosh dang it, Ice Dragons, man. It was different. It's something different enough. He was the last member I added to the team because he was the hardest to get. I actually ended up playing the game in mostly the intended order. I think I did one or two Team Star raids out of order, but I ended up actually beating all the gyms in the order the game intends you to, and because of that, I ended up getting this guy a little tad late. I think I got him after the 5th or 6th gym, but I think I went out of my way to find him because I knew I wanted to use him. I love him. He shakes all down. He's got the Godzilla giant. He's got the giant fin on his back, like Space Godzilla. And Glaive Rush. I'm a sucker for a signature move. And so dang nabbit, he's just cool. And I love throwing him at Hassels, Excalibur in the Elite Four. It was a great time. So that was my first playthrough team that I use in this game. But it's not the only team I used. I used a different team when I played through Scarlet, and I used 2 different teams when I played through the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disk. So let me go ahead and show off those Pokemon to you. Alright, new team, new environment. We are looking over the beautiful town of Levincia. I can't pronounce a single town name in this game. It is by far the worst I am at pronounce at any Pokemon games towns. But this is the team I used for Pokemon Scarlet. This was a kind of a rare thing for me. I mentioned before. Why am I going into I wanted a picnic. I want to do a picnic game. I want to go into the Poke Portal. Yeah, I normally don't get both games so close together. I mentioned I got Violet launched, and then a few months, almost 6 months. I guess not that close, but I picked up Scarlet to have something to do on my last spring break from college, and just because I had so much fun with it. I had a lot of fun playing through Violet. I really wanted to play through it again. I didn't want to start a new game. So I picked up Scarlet, and I wanted to do a playthrough. And my rule was, because this is another rare thing about Pokemon, is that this was one of the first games I actually struggled to really fill out my team because of how many different things I wanted to use. So the name of the game this time around was, now that I know certain things are out there, I want to play it again and I want to use those ones. So, like always, I picked my fire type starter. This is a separate Skeledirge to the other one. You'll see the other guy again when I do my playthrough, my team reviews of all of my other 2 teams for the DLCs. But this is a different Skeledirge. Again, picked him up as a Fuecoco from Director Cavill in Scarlet, and he was great. Like I already gushed about Skeledirge in general. Nothing too different about this one, other than I tried to give him a different moveset. It ended up being pretty much the same thing. Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, Torch Song. What are you gonna do? Still, he was great. You can't go wrong with a Skeledirge. Then, so I love. Hey, come over here, you little rascal! Don't sleep on the job. We're doing a show. We're doing a show, Palmont. All right. So I love the Pika clones. I don't know how controversial is the statement. I love them. I've always loved them. Plusle Minun in Ruby and Sapphire. Adorable. Pachirisu. Cute. I love squirrels. Friggin' Dedenne. Fairy types, awesome. Problem with Pika clones is they never evolve. So I can never really use one on a playthrough team because you generally catch them pretty early, so they end up being totally outclassed in power levels by the late game, and that's just boring. And you know, there's just not a sense of progression with them. One of the best things about Pokemon is that you really feel like you grow and develop with your teams instead of, and when they don't evolve, you get less of that. So when I saw Palmy the first time around, I was gonna skip it for the playthrough for the team because I assumed it wouldn't evolve. Then, wouldn't you know it, he does. He's probably not the best evolution line of any Pokemon, I'll admit. He doesn't change much, don't really do much to improve upon his design, but he's still really great, especially when you have a fire type. Always good to have an electric type. Can't tell you how many times in life I've been just ravaged by Gyarados because I didn't have a good electric type move on my fire starter with my fire starters. So always good to have him, and he was great. The fighting type coverage also helped out against dark types. He's just a Palmot, all around great mon. Loved him. Very cute. Another Pokemon I would gladly hug. Then, alright, so I had the strangest Violet playthrough. Violet was so weird for me. You see this guy. This is a Sudowoodo. I mentioned that I wanted to use all new Pokemon. I went into this game thinking I was going to use a Garganacl. I thought Garganacl was a great looking mon. Didn't get to use one in Violet playthrough. I was going to catch a Nacli. Then, as I'm going to Mesa Goza at the beginning of the game, hadn't even been to Uva Academy yet, or I guess Naranha Academy. What do you know? Shiny Bonsly. Full odds, 100% odds. I had incredible, unprecedented shiny luck in my Scarlet playthrough. I caught no less than 10 separate full odd shinies. Completely full odd shinies. I'm not exaggerating in the slightest. Over the course of that game, when I caught the first one, I was like, okay, I guess I have to use the shiny I caught. I was averaging at least one shiny a gym by one point in this game. So I had to use them. I had to use the shiny Sudowoodo. And another thing is I do like Sudowoodo. Growing up, Crystal was one of my first games that I really played through. So you had that. Colosseum, Mirror Beast Sudowoodo, I thought was incredible as a child. So having a shiny Sudowoodo, you know what? It worked. It felt good. He is underpowered. You won't hear me arguing that base stat totals. But it's a playthrough. You don't need anything too powerful. And so he more than did the job. And I mean, how many times do you get to use a shiny on a regular playthrough? It's great. Then after him, I mean, I had to use the meme. It's Tinkaton. I was going to use Tinkaton in my Violet playthrough, but he conflicted with Reverum, which I wanted to use more. So, I mean, look at this thing. Look at it. It's a meme. It was the meme I had to use. You see the meme. I know I just talked about earlier about my hipster complex of not wanting to use Pokemon that people like too much. It go bonk. The Tinkaton go bonk. It was just, I loved him. She's so cute and so deadly with that big hammer that should be just obliterating me right now. And it just smashes. Tinkaton was a great. I know some people think it's kind of underpowered. Or its stats are kind of weirdly aligned, but whatever. Playthrough team, I didn't need it to be powerful, and it could smack stuff. That's all I needed it to do. I just needed it to smack stuff, and that's what it did. So it was great. Then next up, let's see, Eeny, Miny, Mo. We have Toedscool. When I first saw a Toedscool, like the regular one, the little guy, I was floored. So I didn't know. I mean, I knew that about the convergent evolution thing they were doing. Sure, why not? this was the weirdest way I feel like they could have possibly done it. I mentioned when I was talking about Palafin how I like my Pokemon to be kind of terrestrial based, or the ability to walk on land or float in some cases, because I don't like it when they're entirely aquatic because they just do that weird float thing and breaks my immersion. Somehow, it got real close to breaking my immersion the first time I saw a Toedscool. So when I went this time around, grass, you can't go around with a good grass type and a ground type, and plus you get Spore. Like, I'm the type of person I have a compulsive need to catch every Pokemon I run into in a playthrough. Even though I have well over a full living dex at this point in my Pokemon Home account, when I start a new game, doesn't matter, fill out the Pokedex. I do it every time. Having a Pokemon that can use Spore or Hypnosis or some way of putting things to sleep is very useful, especially in a game like this where your Pokemon can easily outpace the wild ones in levels. You can end up killing a lot of stuff you like. So having status moves, it was just super useful. I like his weird, stupid squirt mouth. He was nice. Then coming up, a Pokemon I'm planning on shiny hunting. He's one of the weirdest looking, but also most interesting to me Pokemon designs I've ever seen. Rabska. Again, I feel I ended up catching him kind of late. Rellor evolves by the same method that Pamo evolves, where you have him run around like that, run in circles behind you, and do your spin moves. And I said before with Reverum, I like having Steel types and I like having Psychic types. And Rabska was a real interesting one that I didn't see a lot of people talking about. So I really wanted to use one, and I like the design. I really want to. I'm gonna go shiny hunt one at some point, especially now you can catch them in the wild in the terrarium in Blueberry Academy. So maybe I'll just hunt 2 Rellors. Either way, he was neat. Revival Blessing ended up being useful, and I didn't expect that in a playthrough where I can just buy revives willy-nilly. But yeah, I liked using Revival Blessing. I liked using his sweet Psychic type moves. He was a all-around solid team member. Couldn't go wrong with him. I didn't have any complaints with him at all. Other than his mechanic to evolve made picking when to evolve kind of odd. I don't love that aspect, but he was still cool. Alright, so that'll wrap up the Violet, or the Scarlet side of this little walk through memory lane for myself. So, but I use more Pokemon. When I went to Kitakami and Blueberry, I picked new teams. So why don't we check those guys out? Okay, welcome to Kitakami. We're here. There's Oni Mountain. We're in the Timeless Forest. Wait, no, that's not. Yeah, that's what I meant. I don't. Yep. I can't friggin'. I don't know geography of fictional game series. Welcome to Kitakami. I am, of course, dressed accordingly in my flashy Jinbei. And I had kind of a unique opportunity with the DLC to revamp the team, go for something brand new, and it's interesting. Normally, with a Pokemon game, you just don't really. You kind of have to pick your Pokemon based on what's available when. Like if a Pokemon comes in too late into the game, you have to say, well, you have to make a decision. Do I have an open spot in the party that long? And I had a fun time this time around where I could pick and choose Pokemon that I really liked, but I knew I never would get the opportunity to use in a standard Scarlet and Violet playthrough because I had basically the whole Pokedex open to me, minus anything that was new to Kitakami. So I picked out a brand new team from scratch, almost, and I think I'll show them to you now here in the beautiful, timeless woods. Come on out, everybody! We of course start with Skeledirge, the same Skeledirge from the Violet playthrough. He's the only one I brought with me. I wanted there to be a kind of through line for the team, kind of like Ash's Pikachu. I didn't want it to be completely brand new, but so I did bring, and also, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't want to try that hard. It's a Pokemon game. So I didn't want to start totally from scratch and have to train up everything. And having a very strong Skeledirge in my back pocket made getting through some of the early fights when everyone was still fairly weak, made it bearable. Now it's raining. Thanks for ruining my picnic, Kyogre, whoever makes rain. Then, so, to prove my point about wanting to use new and interesting things, Iron Bundle. I'm not looking, I want to look at Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle! So, I know a lot of people don't love the robots in the Paradox Mons, but look at this freaking dude. Look at him. He is adorable. I love Delibird. Delibird is the epitome of what I was saying about not being able to use certain mons because you get them too late in the game, and what I was saying about not being able to use mons that don't evolve. You just don't get the same through line. But I love him. He is so cute. He is so cute. Growing up, Pokemon Stadium 2 had the Delibird minigame. I love doing that mini. That was one of my favorite minigame in that game. And I loved the animation for present because it's very simple. But when you're a child, it's very funny to watch a bird give someone a present and the present's a bomb. That's some Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes did that 8 million times because it's funny. And I'm glad Iron Bundle is like decent at the game, so I could use him. And I wanted to use him. He was the #1 choice for the team going into Kitakami. And he's great. He has a very strong special attacker. He's super fast. I tried to use Quark Drive more than I really needed to. I gave him electric terrain. I probably should have just given him a booster energy, to be honest, instead. But he was great. His ice type's a very strong at offense. Hits a lot of things for good damage. Water's very good for offense. So he was super reliable against a lot of different threats throughout Kitakami. He was great, and I love him. Can't say quite the same for Slitherwing. I really wanted to use the Paradox mods because you don't get them until the very end of the game, and so there's no chance I was ever going to use them in a standard playthrough outside of maybe Iron Trends or Great Tusk. And Slitherwing was kind of disappointing to me. I actually wanted to use the Titan Great Tusk that I caught in Scarlet, but it overlapped with another member of the team. And then I thought, oh, well, I want to use the fighting type, so I guess I'll use Slitherwing. That was ultimate. And I thought about using Iron Valiant, but I was already using Iron Bundle, so it just can't. Slitherwing was kind of the last one available to me that I wanted to use. Like, I couldn't use Fluttermane because of the Ghost type. I could have used Screamtail, I guess, but I didn't really love it. I didn't love it. So it was down between basically Slitherwing and Scream. And I wanted something. I like them. I will always gush about how cute Iron Bundle is. I generally like my Pokemon to be kind of imposing. So I ended up using Slitherwing, and he was just a disappointment, really. I loved him. He did a good job at what he did, but I just didn't get to use him as much. Bug and fighting sounds like a really good offensive typing, but most of the stuff I fought through Kitakami, he wasn't suited for, or he didn't do well. Like, I mean, all the poison types resist bug and fighting, so the Loyal 3 battles were pretty much useless. And then the Carmine and Kieran's teams generally had good answers for him. He's a cool mon that just didn't get it. I didn't get to use him as much as I would have liked to, and in ways I would have liked to. The same can't be said though for Torterra. So this little guy, cute little buggins. As you can see, he's not quite the right color because he's a shiny, and so I don't do a ton of shiny hunting in general. I do a little. I dabble. Mostly I just kind of run through my mass outbreaks for the day and catch anything I run into. That's pretty much the extent of my shiny hunting. Occasionally I'll pick something specific to go for. And I caught a shiny Turtwig in Pokemon Legends Arceus. And when it came time to start putting together my team for Kitakami, I had these shinies I just don't use. Like I said with like you generally don't catch shinies during playthroughs, so you generally don't get to use them. That was Sudowoodo. So I figured, hey, I can use shiny Turtwig, turn him into a Torterra, and that'll give me something. And I wanted to use something from Hisui because of the theming of it's dark already. It's because of the theming of the Kitakami being this kind of old-timey place. We're in the Timeless Woods, where I set up my picnic this time. And Torterra, he did a good job. Earthquake, always useful. You can Earthquake all of them. Earthquake them all. It's always a powerful move. He did a good job, especially with the fact that the Poison-type Loyal 3s, they got wrecked. Speaking, similar to Slitherwing, another kind of disappointment. I'm very disappointed. I'm upset he didn't do better. Alolan Golem. So I had Pokemon Home up, and I had the filter on right after the Teal Mask released. Right after that, I had the Teal Mask up. I had it up, and I was like, all right, what Pokemon can be... and I filtered by what can be transferred into Scarlet and Violet. I saw, hey, I hadn't even really started playing yet. I think I've done a little bit. And, hey, Golems can be transferred in. Okay, but I already got the ground type. Then I heard, hey, Alolan Golem's a thing. Why don't I use that? Using trait evolutions is always annoying because you inevitably have to just break all of your progress along the line to go onto Reddit and find someone to give you a trait back to evolve them. So that's annoying in and of itself. But it wasn't too bad. He has strong. He hit powerfully. He just couldn't. There just wasn't much opportunity for him. He's more of a glass cannon or a glass railgun, shall we say? So he got KO'd a lot. But it's all right, buddy. You did good. You did good. You did good. Even though you're kind of a disappointment. And then finally, I need one more Mon on the team. Just one. And I settled on Arbok. Why did I settle on Arbok, and why did I settle specifically on this Arbok? You see, like I said, I had Pokemon Home up, filtered by what can go into Scarlet and Violet. And I was trying to find something. I didn't want it to overlap in types, so, you can see here, Fire, Ghost, Rock, Electric, Ground, Grass, Bug Fighting, Ice, Water. I had pretty solid coverage, and I needed something. I needed something that could fit. And I saw Arbok. I'm like, maybe Arbok. And eventually I just kind of had to bite the bullet and choose one. Now, why did I choose this one? I'm actually going to leave the picnic because I wanted to show you why I picked this specific Arbok. You see, this little guy, he's not from Kitakami. He's not from Kanto or Johto or Sinnoh. No, in fact, you see this? This here's the National Ribbon. You know who gets National Ribbons? Pokemon that used to be Shadow Pokemon in Pokemon Colosseum and XD. Arbok specifically comes from Pokemon XD. You can catch an Arbok from I forget which his specific cipher peon name is, but you catch him. He's pretty sure it's the last fight or the second to last fight before you finish the boss fight in the Shadow Pokemon Factory, the Cipher Key Lair in Pokemon XD, and I have this little tendency. I love taking something weird like a Shadow Pokemon and bringing him all the way up into the modern day. That was very entertaining to me. So I decided to bring him along her along to Kitakami, and she did good. She did great. Pheasantipity. She was my main mon to fight Pheasantipity because she can't get poisoned. She's a poison type, and because she is a poison type, she can then hit the fairy type Pheasantipity. So she did great. I really loved her. She was a great addition to the team, which means we have one final stop to make. So here we are in the lovely coastal biome of the famous, world-renowned Blueberry Academy Terrarium. We're on the Blueberry Academy's Slowpoke Beach, as I like to call it. There's a very sparkly lantern over there. I wonder what that's about. Don't worry about it. And I'm here to show you the final team I used in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That is, in fact, my Blueberry Academy team. I haven't quite finished everything in this game. I beat the main story of it. I still have to do plenty of league battles, so this will be the team that I'm probably going to use for it. And let's just go ahead and show you, everybody. Alright, team. Come on out, everybody. As always, we have our lovely Skeledirge, the pride and joy of the team, my oldest friend in the Paldean adventures. And we have a few new friends. So, Noctowl. Start off with this little guy. He's from Kitakami. Noctowl is one of my favorite shiny Pokemon. I've always wanted one. I've wanted one for years. I grew up on the TV show like a lot of people. The Johto series was going through a lot of my early childhood. And Ash had a shiny Noctowl. And I've always wanted one ever since then, even though I didn't really know what a shiny... For years, I just thought this was how Noctowl was supposed to look, because I only really knew it from the show. And I also, like a lot of people, thought it was a Psychic type. I mentioned before, I love having Psychic types on my team. And, no, shut up, Iron Thorns, I don't want you right now. And when I was playing through... Well, after I'd beaten the Teal Mask, I was roaming around Kitakami. I got a massive mass outbreak, or just a regular mass outbreak, of Noctowl. And I figured this is a rare opportunity. Why don't I actually shiny him? I don't do that much, but I made an exception for Noctowl. I reset. I saved. I turned off all my auto saves. I made I made sandwiches. Did the whole just to get this little guy. I wish he was a bit more red in the wings myself, but I really like him. I was expecting him to be underwhelming throughout this game because he ain't the best, and this section of the game generally requires you to be a bit more strategically minded with your Pokemon. But he was surprisingly good. He tanked a lot more hits than I thought he would, and he has Hypnosis, which is also useful, Stab, Terra Blast, Air Slash, and he even had Moonblast, which was pretty helpful against Drayton. I'm very surprised at how surprisingly bulky Noctowl is, and he did a good job. He did good by me, and it's one of my favorite shinies. So, when you know it, I gotta use him. Then the next pick on the team, this layabout. It's okie dokie. I knew a lot of people were gonna go into the game. I mentioned my hipster comment. I knew most people were gonna go in. Not you. I knew most people were gonna go in, or at least a lot of people were gonna go into the game with Ogerpon, because they wanted to see if Kieran would interact with him, and you know, you just got him theoretically, so you were gonna have time to enjoy him, and you were the one to use the Ogerpon. I like Ogerpon, but I already had a grass type pick in mind, and I thought it'd be fun to mess with Kieran. Just a little trolling. And I thought it would be funnier if not to just use the Pokemon that he wanted and I got, but if I used the Pokemon that tried to beat up the Pokemon that he wanted. It was just a little bullying as a treat, shall we say. So I used Okidogi, and this thing's good. This thing's great. A lot of things have Psychic type moves that I didn't realize would get Psychic type moves, so he ended up being way frailer than I thought he would. But again, once I had him in the right mindset, once I was in the right mindset about having to be a bit more competitive with my play, he was super useful. He is probably the only reason I got through Lacey's fight on the first try, because I don't know if it's completely random, but mine is a terrestrial poison type, so I was able to take away at least part of his fighting type weakness, so he couldn't be completely just devastated by the vicious mockery that is psychic types. And he could sweep most of Lacey's poison types, or fairy types, I mean, and with poison jabs, terrestrial boosted, it was great. Really liked him, he did a great job. All around good mon, and I got a troll. I gotta troll some NPCs. Then Archaladon. Boy howdy is this thing good. I knew I really wanted to use Duraludon. I love Duraludon. Another example of what I've been saying this whole video. I like mons, but there are a lot of mons I love that you catch them too late, or they don't evolve, so you can't really use them. Duraludon, prime example. I wanted to use a Duraludon on my Sword and Shield playthrough team. It was so cool to me. And he doesn't evolve, and you can't catch him till like right before the league. It's unfortunate. So, this time around, knew I had to get him. I honestly think I might have messed up my stat distribution on him. I did try to like EV train a little bit, just use vitamins pretty much. I figured he'd be a physical attacker, because most of the Duraludon builds I looked up involved physical attack. He's more of a special attacker, so I kind of made him a mixed bag. But he was still super powerful. Mine is Terrestrial Steel, which made him very useful against Drayton, because I could Terrestrial into something that resisted his Dragon type Terrestrial Archaladon. This guy, he's a great addition to the team. Absolute powerhouse, super strong. It's like a gosh dang tank. He was great. And then I don't know why I went on the Mecha Godzilla kick. I wanted to use Iron Thorns. I got two giant metal kaiju-like mon, but whatever. I specifically shiny hunted an Iron Thorns. That was because I wanted to. Another exception, similar to Noctowl, I like a lot of the Paradox mon. I wanted to use one, and I had some Herba Mystica lying around. Figure I'd dig into it would get me a shiny Paradox. I'd kind of committed to using pretty much the first shiny Paradox I ran into, and that happened to be Iron Thorns. And I was going. My sandwich was a rock sandwich, so it ended up being obvious that he would be the one I got. But I was pretty much open. I was thought about getting Iron Valiant, but I knew that was going to overlap fighting with Okidogi and who else? And I had already used the Iron Bundle, so I didn't want to use that again. So, and then Iron Moth overlaps with Skeledirge, which only really leaves Iron Thorns and Iron Jugulus. So I went with Iron Thorns, because the freaking Tyranitar's great, Mechagodzilla's great. I didn't know it at the time that there'd be so many Unova connections, but it was neat that I got to use something that could arguably be just a big Unova connection with the Pokestar Studios. giant mecha Tyranitar. So he was great, and honestly, another surprising heavy hitter. I really wasn't expecting him to be as strong as he was. He gets some pretty good coverage. I have him with a booster energy. He's got Earthquake. He's got Rock Slide. He's got Wild Charge. I swapped that in for the new Supercell Slam move, and Ice Punch. And with all that coverage, it didn't really matter that he wasn't getting hit. He's faster than he looks. It didn't matter that he can't take many hits. He was laying on the damage. He was doing great. And that leaves us with the last Monarch on our team, so Superior. When I heard about the new starter being available, Superior became a pick I wanted to try. See, Snivy is my kid sister's all-time favorite Pokemon. Like, she loves that thing. I sent her a blurry, hyperpixelated screenshot of the trailer where they announced that starters would be available in the Blueberry Academy, and she doesn't even play Pokemon, but she was glad that Snivy was available. So, but because I always use fire types, I've never used a Snivy ever. So I wanted to use them, and honestly, she was pretty great. She didn't get to do a lot. Being monotype, she didn't have a ton of coverage, but with Substitute and Leech Seed, boy, like, that's a good combo, even if the stats might not be the best. So Superior, great team, a great mod for the team. I really enjoyed it. And that's all the teams. That's all the teams. I really loved playing through Scarlet and Violet. This is one of my favorite. I know I'm not an idiot. There's a lot of problems in these games, but gosh dang, like, I had so much fun with them. Like, I used so many mon that I really fell in love with. There's so many mon that, and there's so many environments that are awesome. So many great storylines. Like this, it's one of, tech issues aside, my Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are one of my all-time favorite Pokemon games. I'd probably put them in my top 5. I really love them. They're so much fun, and now that they're kind of coming to a close, I'm excited to see what comes next from Pokemon, and I enjoyed this little reminiscing down memory lane. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I'll be back in the new year with some more properly scripted content, something a little less frivolous than this. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you guys, everyone. It's been a great year. I'm glad I'm back making content. Gives me a creative outlet, even if it's not anything too particularly fancy like this. It's still fun to make. And so thank you one more time, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone, for watching.